Under the night sky studded with sparkling stars, the mystery machine snaked along a deserted road cutting through the vast desert. The rumble of the engine was replaced by an abrupt silence as the vehicle broke down in the middle of nowhere. Scooby-Doo, Shaggy, Velma, Daphne, and Fred stepped out of the car, surrounded by silent dunes and the distant howl of the wind. While Fred tried to figure out the problem, a bright flash in the sky caught everyone's attention. Was that a shooting star? Velma asked, but Shaggy's nervous look and Scooby's howl hinted at something more sinister. The desert, which once seemed empty, now felt like it was watching them. With no other choice, the group decided to walk to a small town they had spotted in the distance, where faint lights flickered. Upon arrival, they noticed the place felt odd. Empty streets, shuttered windows, and an eerie silence. An old diner seemed to be the only sign of life. Inside, they met Crystal, a photographer of celestial landscapes staying in the town. With a friendly smile, she offered her help and introduced Amber, her loyal dog, who immediately formed a curious bond with Scooby. During their conversation, bright lights appeared in the sky, accompanied by a high-pitched sound that made the group's ears ring. The lights vanished as quickly as they had appeared, but they left behind mysterious marks on the desert floor that Fred insisted on investigating. With Crystal and Amber's help, the group made their way to the site. There, they found a strange pattern of scorched circles on the ground, surrounded by small, shiny metallic pieces. As Velma examined the items, a mechanical roar echoed through the air, revealing black jeeps approaching rapidly. Uniformed men stepped out, forbidding them from staying there. Restricted area, they said, but Fred's attempts to question the events were met with threats. The group backed away, though Fred's suspicion only deepened. That night, while camping near the town, Shaggy and Scooby decided to explore on their own, drawn by the smell of something that seemed like food. As they wandered off, they saw a blinding light hovering above the dunes. Before they could react, a beam of light enveloped them and pulled them upward. The rest of the gang awoke to the sound of Scooby's screams, but when they reached the site, all they found was an empty field with deep marks in the ground. Velma tried to stay calm, but Daphne couldn't hide her panic. Were they abducted? Fred asked, while Crystal watched silently. Hours later, Shaggy and Scooby reappeared at the campsite, their eyes wide and their gestures frantic. "Aliens!" Shaggy shouted, while Scooby confirmed with a nervous bark. They claimed to have seen glowing figures and heard incomprehensible voices. Although the story seemed absurd, Velma noticed a thin layer of silvery dust on their shoes, something that hadn't been there before. Crystal suggested they investigate the secret facility the Jeeps had been guarding, believing it could connect the pieces of the puzzle. Despite their hesitation, the gang agreed, hatching a plan to uncover the truth. With Crystal's help, the group infiltrated the facility, which was hidden deep in a canyon. The scene was high-tech, filled with equipment that seemed out of this world. At the center of the laboratory stood a large machine glowing in shades of blue and silver. Velma quickly realized it wasn't human-made. Amber, using her sharp sense of smell, led Scooby to an archive room where they found detailed schematics of the machine. As they copied the information, alarms blared, forcing them all to flee in haste, escaping through a dark tunnel that led back to the desert. Back at the campsite, Velma revealed that the machine appeared to be some kind of energy transmitter, but its origin was still unclear. Fred speculated that aliens might be using the facility for espionage, but Crystal disagreed, suggesting there was something more intricate at play. Before they could decide on their next move, intense lights appeared again in the sky. This time, they moved directly toward the mystery machine, forcing the group to retreat. The air felt electric as the vehicle became enveloped in a bright aura. As soon as the lights disappeared, the mystery machine's engine miraculously roared back to life. At dawn, Crystal made a shocking confession. She wasn't just a photographer. She and Amber were disguised aliens, sent to Earth to prevent the machine from falling into the wrong hands. The revelation left the gang stunned, but it explained Amber's peculiar behavior and Crystal's uncanny ability to solve the mysteries. Before the group could process the news, black jeeps surrounded the campsite again, and the agents demanded any information they had collected. With Crystal and Amber's help, the gang escaped, bringing vital data with them. The chase through the dunes felt endless as the jeeps relentlessly pursued the mystery machine. Fred performed daring maneuvers, dodging obstacles while Crystal used a strange device to create dazzling distractions in the sky, confusing their pursuers. Finally, the group found refuge in a deep cave hidden by rocky formations. Inside, Velma and Crystal analyzed the data they had gathered and discovered the machine was an antenna capable of transmitting enough energy to manipulate satellites and orbital weapons. If misused, it could cause mass destruction. They had to destroy it before the agents activated it. Guided by Crystal and Amber, the group returned to the secret facility under the cover of night. The place was heavily guarded, but Scooby and Shaggy, relying on their clumsy luck, managed to distract the guards by pretending to be pizza delivery workers. Meanwhile, Fred and Velma disabled the security systems, allowing Crystal and Daphne to access the main chamber. Inside, the machine pulsated with an intense blue light, emitting a rhythmic hum that echoed through the facility. Time was running out, as the agents were likely to notice their intrusion soon. Crystal revealed a risky plan: to overload the machine, forcing it to self-destruct. Amber, with Scooby at her side, was tasked with carrying a device to activate the overload. As the group worked quickly, the facility was swarmed by agents who triggered alarms and began closing in. Shaggy, trying to protect Scooby, accidentally tripped over a table filled with equipment, setting off a series of small explosions that caused chaos. This distraction gave Crystal and Velma enough time to configure the device on the machine. The group barely escaped as the facility began to collapse. The lights flickered, and the growing hum of accumulated energy filled the air. Amber led Scooby and Shaggy through a tunnel, while Fred and Daphne raced toward the mystery machine. Crystal stayed behind to ensure the device worked. At the last moment, she and Amber teleported away, revealing their true alien forms. The vibrant colors of their bodies stood out against the desert's darkness as the facility exploded in a dazzling display of lights that illuminated the night sky. Back at their makeshift campsite, the gang reunited with Crystal and Amber, still trying to process what they had witnessed. Crystal thanked them for their support, explaining that her mission on Earth was complete. Velma was fascinated by the complexity of the alien technology, while Fred reflected on how the facility could have been misused. Shaggy, still in shock, asked, "So, does this mean aliens really exist?" Scooby responded with an enthusiastic Scooby-Dooby-Doo, clearly more excited than scared. It was time for goodbyes. Crystal and Amber prepared to leave in their spaceship, which appeared silently in the sky, glowing like a falling star. Daphne hugged Crystal, thanking her for her bravery, while Velma took pictures of the phenomenon for her personal collection. Shaggy and Scooby, emotional, promised never to reveal their secret. "You're cosmic friends," Shaggy said, tears in his eyes as Amber licked Scooby one last time. With a final brilliant flash, the spaceship vanished over the horizon, leaving the group alone under the starry sky. The mystery machine hit the road again, now repaired and brimming with stories to tell. Fred, smiling, suggested they write a book about their adventure, but Velma insisted no one would believe it. Shaggy, however, was more concerned with finding the next restaurant. Scooby, chewing on a giant cookie, looked up at the sky, where a star twinkled peculiarly. Perhaps it was a sign from Crystal and Amber. "Scooby-Dooby-Doo," he shouted as the van disappeared down the deserted road. leaving behind mysteries and memories from another galaxy. The narrow road twisted through a fog-covered valley as the mystery machine approached an ancient and imposing structure surrounded by gnarled trees. Scooby-Doo and Shaggy, their eyes wide, stared at the map pointing to their destination, Grimwood School. The sound of tires on gravel was interrupted when Fred stopped the van at the rusted iron gate. "This doesn't look welcoming," murmured Shaggy, while Daphne tried to reassure them. As the school's door creaked open ominously, the shadow of a tall figure awaited them at the entrance, marking the beginning of an adventure they would never forget. Inside the school, they were greeted by Miss Grimwood, the head mistress, a stern-looking woman with a smile that seemed to conceal secrets. She introduced the students: Sabella, the charming daughter of Dracula; Elsa, the offspring of Frankenstein's creature; Phantasma, a playful spirit; Winnie, a young werewolf; and Tanis, an adorable mummy. Scooby and Shaggy were intrigued, but quickly realized this wasn't an ordinary school. During gym class, an eerie laughter echoed through the hallways, making it clear that something more sinister was lurking beyond the school's walls. That night, as the full moon illuminated the nearby forest, Shaggy and Scooby spotted a shadowy figure lurking among the trees. Matches, the school's tiny pet dragon, began growling, alerting them to danger. Despite their fear, the duo decided to investigate, only to find strange markings on the ground and fragments of a golden artifact. When Velma examined the pieces, she discovered symbols hinting at ancient magic. Meanwhile, the students began acting strangely, as though something or someone was influencing their behavior. As days passed, strange activities at the school increased. Objects floated, doors locked on their own, and whispers echoed through the catacombs. Scooby and Shaggy, with matches in tow, discovered a hidden passage in the library. There, they stumbled upon a secret room filled with spellbooks and a diary mentioning a powerful warlock named Revolta. Velma explained that he was searching for a magical amulet capable of controlling monsters. The revelation left the gang on high alert, as the threat seemed closer than ever. Determined to protect the students and stop the warlock's plan, Scooby and Shaggy, with help from Sabella and Elsa, began exploring the school's catacombs. Narrow passages and ancient traps tested the duo's courage, while sinister laughter echoed in the distance. They eventually found a central chamber where parts of the amulet were hidden. However, before they could retrieve them, Revolta's shadowy figure appeared, forcing them to flee as he claimed a crucial piece of the artifact. Returning to the surface, the group shared their discoveries with the remaining students. Winnie and Phantasma volunteered to help, using their unique talents to defend the school. Winnie tracked more clues in the forest, while Phantasma guided the gang to an ancient tower that seemed to be the warlock's hideout. During their investigation, they found ancient carvings on the walls, confirming that the amulet had the power to subjugate monsters. Velma realized that if the warlock completed the artifact, he could control not only Grimwood students, but also monsters around the world. That night, the school was shrouded in a thick fog, and mysterious creatures began appearing at the gates. Scooby and Shaggy, armed with improvised nets and their questionable courage, tried to defend the school. With Match's help, they managed to fend off the intruders temporarily, but it was clear that Revolta was growing stronger. Sabella revealed that she knew where the final piece of the amulet was hidden, a chamber inside the school's tower. The group decided to act before Revolta could reach it. Entering the tower, the group faced more traps and illusions created by the warlock. Scooby tripped over a loose stone slab, revealing a hidden path to the tower's top, where they found the completed amulet. Before they could retrieve it, Revolta appeared in a burst of smoke, mocking their efforts to stop him. He revealed that he had enchanted the school to weaken the students, rendering them unable to resist his control. The tension mounted as he moved closer to claim the amulet. Encouraged by Scooby and Shaggy, The students joined the battle atop the tower. Sabella used her vampiric powers to distract the warlock, while Elsa, with her incredible strength, tried to prevent him from completing his spell. Shaggy and Scooby, despite their terror, managed to divert Revolta's attention away from the amulet, giving Velma time to devise a plan. Matches, small but fearless, unleashed flames to destroy the spells protecting the artifact. As the battle raged on, Velma explained that the only way to neutralize the amulet was to destroy it in a magical fire hidden in the catacombs. With Revolta distracted, the group escaped the tower with the amulet. Scooby, holding it tightly, led the way through the catacombs while Revolta pursued them with spells that turned the path into a maze. Undeterred, they pressed on, guided by Winnie, who used her keen sense of smell to locate the fire. When they reached the fire, Revolta caught up with them and the final showdown began. He conjured shadowy creatures to stop them, but the students, working together, used their powers to fight back. In an unexpected moment of bravery, Scooby grabbed the amulet and hurled it into the flames. The room filled with a blinding light as the amulet disintegrated. Revolta tried to escape, but was consumed by his own magic, vanishing in a whirlwind of energy. With the amulet destroyed and the warlock defeated, the school returned to normal. The students were stronger than ever, expressing their gratitude to Scooby, Shaggy, and the gang. Matches danced joyfully while Winnie prepared a celebratory feast. Velma documented everything to ensure the amulet's knowledge remained safe, while Fred and Daphne reinforced the school's defenses against future threats. The next morning, Miss Grimwood called Scooby and Shaggy into her office to thank them personally. She offered them the chance to stay on as gym teachers, with one special condition: unlimited snacks. Shaggy grinned widely as he accepted immediately, and Scooby enthusiastically approved with a hearty Scooby-Dooby-Doo. The school, now united and well-protected, vowed to remember the events as a testament to the power of friendship and bravery. As the gang prepared to leave, the students bid them heartfelt goodbyes. Sabella, with a mysterious smile, gave Scooby a small amulet as a keepsake, assuring them it held no dangerous powers. Phantasma played a cheerful melody on her harp as they climbed into the mystery machine. Outside, the fog began to clear, revealing a bright and sunny sky. Matches flew in circles, waving his tiny wing in farewell. As the mystery machine left the school behind, Shaggy remarked how this had been the scariest mission they'd ever faced, but also the most fun. Scooby, munching on a giant sandwich, glanced up at the sky where Matches could still be seen waving. "Scooby-Dooby-Doo!" he shouted happily as the van disappeared down the road, leaving Grimwood School as a place of safety, learning, and, of course, a little bit of magic.